Hey guys, so last time where we left off, we had a calendar that was horizontal scrolling. It scrolled by framed. It was pretty simple design, just a simple label. Right now we're going to design a calendar that looks like this. It was designed by one of the users of this library. So let's go ahead and set this up. I will first create the headers. So let's add a UI label. We're going to make some copies of those. Now, keep in mind the header that we are creating is not part of the calendar, okay? It's pretty much just an external header that we're going to set up. We will now add the headers to a stack view, and we will try to make the stack views leading edge and trailing edge be to the edge of the super view. We will also set the stack views fill to fill equally. So let's just get rid of the unnecessary constraints. You know what? Let's put the both of them in a stack view itself. Yeah, that'll make things easier. Now we will set the constraints to be 0 and we'll leave the height to be 347. Let's run this and see how it looks. We can see that the headers are still not yet centered, so let's do this. We'll select the labels and align them to center, and it should look a lot better now. There we go. Okay, now I'll take a while to just set up the background colors to the application. Now let's talk about the selected views. It's yellow, so all we need to do is just add a simple UI view to the background of the cell. Let's do some resizing. We'll also change the background color to yellow. And then we will set the view to, let's set its corner radius to be half of the size of the selected view itself. So we'll make the selected view have a size of 30. Right. And we'll set it to be centered in the middle of the cell. Also, we want the selected view to be behind the text and not in front of it. I will increase the size of the corner radius to 20, and I will increase the size of the selected view to 40. I believe 30 might be too small. Alright, things are looking pretty good. Let us build and run. Wait, before building and run, let's make the selected view be hidden from the start. And let's run the app to make sure that it's looking okay. And it is okay. I believe we are now ready to start writing some code. So let's head over to the view controller. And I will now separate the data source protocol from the delegate protocol to make things a little neater. Okay, let's move this function. It belongs to the delegate. Now, if you recall from the sample image, we had to do something when the cell is selected. We have to show the selected view. So let's go ahead and add the didSelect protocol function. Because cell is optional, we will just wrap that in a guardlet to make sure that it is not nil. If it is nil, we will just return. Now, what we want to do here is that whenever a cell is selected, we want to show the visibility of the selected view. So let's go to the cell and create an outlet for the selected view. We have not done so yet. And now we will connect the outlet to storyboard. Now we'll set the cell's visibility to true whenever it's selected. We will now build and run and see how it looks. On selecting the cell, we can see that there is a cut from the top end. So the cause of this would be the cell has an inset that is set, right? So let's reduce that cell inset. But first, let's make that inset visible by setting a border a border width, so we can see that inset visually. We can see here that applying the border width showed the cell inset. So let's head back to the code and try to remove this. In your view.load, we'll create a function to set up the calendar. And what we're going to do is basically remove the minimum inter-item spacing and cell spacing. These are things that you would find in a typical collection view. Let's create an outlet for it first. And then we'll set that outlet. Now in here, we'll change the minimum line spacing to 0 and the inter-item spacing to also be 0. And that's just to remove the cell inset. Let's see what it looks like. So there we go. We see that the inset has been removed. Now we can see another problem when we select the cell. The selections never go away. So we need to head back to the code to add some code on deselection. And we'll do that in this next delegate function. Now we will essentially call the same code as the did select, but except we'll just set the hidden property to true once deselected. And there it is. Selection works. There is something else. You can see that while scrolling, it randomly selects cells across the board. This is due to UI collection view reusing cells. So we would basically do what we would normally do in a UI collection view. We would reset our cells. So if the cell state is selected, we will set the hidden property of the selected view to false. And if it's not selected, we will set it to true. This should fix the randomly repeating views across the calendar view. Let's test it out. Okay, and it works. Now we can get rid of the width we added to the border. We do not need it anymore. Now to add the finishing touches. You can see that on the sample image, selected views have different colors, and the month has different colors. But on our calendar, all of the text is black. So what I'll do is I'll pause this video for a quick second. I'll gather all of the colors needed, and I will be back. And we're back. What I did was I gathered all of the colors from the sample image, and I stored them into variables on lines 15 to lines 18. You can see some of the colors are initialized using the actual hex value for the color. I did this using a simple extension that I found online. You can build this one yourself. It allows you to build colors from hex codes, or you can write your own. So the first thing that I realize is that I am using a lot of repeated code. So let's create a function that we can use to pretty much call across the board, so we don't have much repeated values. Okay, so we'll first remove this, and followed by the logic for actually selecting the cell. And now we can replace those pieces of code with the actual function call. One there, and same thing over there and there. So let's run this and see. We have two warnings which we can now remove because it is already being done inside of the function. Now let's run this, and it should behave the same way as it did before, except we do not have scattered pieces of code. Now that we have handled the selection, let's handle the text color. Right away, I see that I have incorrectly called this as the handle cell text color function. This should be called the handle cell selected. Now let's create the handle cell text color, and we will put some logic here that I have pasted from another file, right? And it'll be similar to the same validated cell code. Um, let's just fix this here to custom cell and return it if it's null. So if the cell is selected, what we're going to do is that we are going to change the text color to purple as it is shown here in the sample application. So we'll do the selected month color, and there we go. Now a short explanation into what this month means. The lightly colored months that you see here are called in dates, right? All of the ones on the end are called out dates, and the white ones in the middle, we'll call those month dates, all right? So basically, if the date belongs to month dates, if it belongs to this month, we're going to set the color to white, all right? If the date does not belong to this month, then we're going to set it to an outside month color. This code needs to also be placed in the cell for item for index path function so that the cell can be properly reset. Remember that these cells are being reused. So let's see how it looks. And there we are. Month dates are white and non-month dates are lightly purple. When you select a date, the color is not changed because we have not added the code there yet, right? So let's copy this code and make sure and place it in the did select and also the did deselect code. Let's run it and see what it looks like. And now the colors are changing properly. Now all that's left to add on this calendar is the month and the year label, and also this little switch thing over there. So let's do some designing. I will create 2 extra labels, and also I will create an image view. Okay. I will then call this year and I will call this the month. I will put these 2 in a stack view vertically, and I'll put that in this stack view. What happened? I think it disappeared. Let's see. Okay, I believe it would have gotten a 0 height, so let me just adjust the height of that stack view. Alright. We will also set the fill status of this to fill and fill equally. Then we want to change the outer stack view's height so that there wouldn't be any constraint problems. Now we can see here that the month is big letters, so let's change the font size of this. In order to satisfy the final constraints, let's set the hugging priorities of the smaller month and give it a lower resistance. And there we go. Seems to have satisfied all of the constraint breaking problems. One thing, let's change the background of the entire view to purple so that it looks properly. The month will also be white, and the year should be a small dimly colored purple. So let's change that right now. And it's not changing. Let me reset that. And there we go. So that would be all for the design, but let's add some code to get it to change whenever we scroll. We will now add a new delegate function, did scroll to date segment, and this will get called whenever the user scrolls the calendar. So what we want here is the visible dates. As I said before, visible dates can be in dates, month dates, or out dates. As shown here, in dates, the white ones are month dates, and the ones at the bottom are out dates. So we will choose the month dates, and we want the first of the month dates, right? Now, although we have set up two labels, we have not set up any outlets for them yet. So let's create that, one for the year and the other for the month. They will be two labels. Now let's go connect them. Now that they have been connected, we can actually set them using a date formatter. I will first set the format for the year, right? Okay, and then I will set the label of the year to that date that we have gotten. Right. Now we'll do the same thing for the month. Okay, I'm seeing an error here. Let's just fix this first. Okay, I made a mistake here. It's month dates dot first dot date. Month dates returns a array of dates and index paths. So we need to actually get the date from it because we don't want the index path, right? So it's visible date dot month dates first date. All right. So let's build this and see what it looks like. And there we have it. We can see the month changing when the user scrolls. There is one thing to note here. This month does not get loaded on first run, right? If you run it, it's not set yet. So we need something in the view did load, right? So I'll just add some comments here. And I'll also create a function to set up the visible dates so I don't have to keep on doing it, okay? But in the meantime, let's just write out the code first. We can find visible dates by running this command, but because this is run on view.load, the calendar may not be set up yet and visible dates might not be on the screen. So we'll use the other version of visible dates, which has a completion handler, all right? We're going to capture the visible dates, and when we do capture the visible dates, we will do something with it. Let's copy the code from the didScrollToDate segment function. We will use this to create a new function that we can reuse over and over again. So I'm going to create a new function called setUpViewsFromCalendar, and in there I'll paste all of the code to set up the views. Alright, I need to set self because it's a closure. We will place the code to set up the views of the calendar. And here from the visible dates that we have, then we'll go back to the function. Oh, I seem to have pasted it in the wrong area. So let me just copy that one more time and put it in the function that should set up the date for the calendar. And in here, I'll just delete this and I'll call the function with the visible dates. All right, this should work. Let's see how it works. And there you go. It loads on view.load correctly, and it also updates when you scroll. And selection still works. In the next video, I'll try to go over some of the layouts you can accomplish with this calendar. If you like the project, don't forget to leave a star rating on GitHub. More information is provided in the description section of this video. Have a good one, guys.